What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Closing Open Wounds. I am yours truly, Cleisha, and I welcome you again. So we have another reaction video, guys, and this one is going to be a little sensitive as well. If you checked out the other ones, I have, a clip from Dr. Umar. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but we are definitely going to talk about it. So you know what? Let's just play it. And this is about when a woman cheats on the man that she loves. So let's get into it.
If your woman spread her legs for another man, that's rarely just sex unless you can't please her in the bedroom. Now, if he tells me, Dad, I'm having troubles pleasing my wife in the bedroom, that's a different issue. Then the question becomes, did she ask you to get help? Did y'all ever go to a sex therapist and try to work on the situation?
Right.
Is there something that happened in your childhood that I need to know about? You feel me? But if it ain't that, your woman, and assuming she's not a promiscuous woman, you ain't marrying no hoe. She a hoe, that's different. That's what they do. They pop Gucci. Right. But you got you a real woman. You got a real woman who loves you, and she spread her legs for another man. She got a connection with him.
Yeah.
You got to have a deep conversation with her and find out, is he her new number one? And are you the legal husband, now the side piece?
Insane.
Will she actually be able to give you that in conversation?
Believe it or not, a lot of women would.
Sure would.
They're going to tell you straight up.
They gonna, you know why? Because they're so frustrated at having given us warning after warning
Ample amount
and
of
plea
time.
after plea to get this shit together. And a lot of them can't wait to tell you to your face, yes, because I gave you a chance to handle this and you wouldn't. If a woman loves you, sleep with another man, she feels some type of way about it. She may not have replaced you yet, but if you want her, you better get her back and get her back quick, because a good woman don't spread their legs easy.
No, they
Not
don't.
when they in love with a man. They don't do it. Now, yeah, they do revenge sex. Revenge sex doesn't have to be anything meaningful, if it's just revenge sex. But if it ain't revenge sex and she's really cheating because she cheating, there's something more to that situation.
Well, y'all heard it. And of course, as you would imagine, if you've been with me for a while, I 100% agree. I 100% agree with the good doctor on this one. If you haven't already, check my Couch Confessions, A Sexless Marriage, where I indeed went through this. As Dr. Umar said, there are women who are promiscuous and they will sleep with anybody and they will sleep around and have no regard, they will. However, that's not the case in this scenario. We're talking about something a little bit different. Okay. In my sexless marriage, there were many times I pleaded with my husband to get help. We went through counseling, but he never wanted to see a doctor or went to see about a doctor after, we would have these uncomfortable conversations about it. I really tried my best to be faithful in this marriage. One year, and this had been going on for a few years. We were together for 6. And I'll tell you this. When we got together, we had been intimate, but because we loved God, we had abstained for over a year before we got married. So we had this long period of time where we were not intimate. And so it was fine. It was fine. I kind of thought like after we got married, I think he was still in that type of rut. We were more like roommates. It was terrible. One year we were intimate about 4 times in 8 months, 6 to 8 months. It was very, very bad. It caused me severe depression. I didn't feel attractive. I even contemplated suicide because it was my second marriage and we were a Christian family. So I'm just like, the only way out of this has to be just death, because I don't want to cheat on him. I did love him. it was a lot. I don't know how, because he took me through a lot. There was a lot of debt. There was a lot of lies. I found out that he had a child that he didn't disclose to me, who was 15 years old at the time. He got put back on child support. He was in and out of jail for warrants for child support. I went through a lot. And on top of all this, not to have sex. Yeah, I didn't sign up for that. So it took a toll on me physically and spiritually. I felt hopeless. I cried a lot. I would go to work and just take extra long in the bathroom, because I was literally depressed. I was at my highest weight. I was out of it. I was going through a lot. So to deal with the lack of intimacy for so many years will take a toll on you. I don't know. I can't speak for a man, but as a woman, it takes a toll. So after pleading with him, and I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want this marriage or not? Like, I was at my wit's end. I was tired. And I still had to show up for work. I found myself dressing more provocatively for work because just to get his attention, and it just didn't work. He worked a lot. He was, traveled monthly. I felt like I was just home with the kids, my kids, his kids. I became like this soccer mom overnight. I had my 2 sons. They're not with him. And I knew he had 1 son. So I was fine with that. And then I won't forget, we went to go pick his son up. And the son's sister was like, oh, can I come with you guys sometime? Because she was the youngest in that household. And, I guess when we would take his son, she would be left alone. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. This probably should really be on the Couch Confessions part 2. But so one weekend we picked them both up. So I had a house full of kids. Overwhelming to me because I only ever wanted 1 child. My second child was a surprise, and I couldn't get an abortion because God wouldn't let me, and because I was going to get an abortion. Okay, your girl been through a lot. And God said no. So to have, it was a lot. I had a house full of kids, and I remember she came in my room. She's like, Miss Cleisha, can I talk to you? I'm sure, baby. What's up? And she goes and she said to my band, she said, well, my mom told me that such and such is my dad. And I said, what? I mean, I screamed and I yelled his name. I'm not going to say it, still try to protect people. And it's like when he came to the room and I looked at her and I looked at him and I said, God darn it. She's right. Take the test, 99.9. And it was a lot of stress. On top of that, no sex. On top of the child support now. And it was just a lot. Almost being evicted. Not enough money coming in because child support was raping this man. It was a lot. I remember we were on our way to a church and it was my birthday. It was my actual birthday. And we got pulled over and he got arrested because he had a warrant for child support on my birthday. And yes, I still went to church because at this time I was just like, I'm tired. One time in the bed, 1:00 in the morning, bounty hunters at the door. They come to arrest him. Child support. Warrants here, warrants there, warrants everywhere. So a lot of people don't know a lot of things. They, especially the people that actually know me in my community that think they know my story, but you don't. I'm not here to speak up for myself because I really don't care. But this is for the people that really need some encouragement. So let's get back to this. I felt unseen. I felt unwanted. I felt unloved. So yes, I wound up sleeping with my ex. I did. It didn't last very long. I slept with him a few times, and I'm a truthful person. I remember on I remember feeling angry because I'm like, how can other people feel this way about me and not even my own husband? How can other people desire me? And I would go to different churches and I'm still in church. I would go to different churches and I would do praise and worship. I would, do whatever. And I could just see the men just would sop me up like a biscuit. And I'll go home and this guy, he's just like, I'm regular smegular, not that I'm all that, but you guys, you know what I mean. You know my heart. You know what I'm trying to say. And I felt angry. So yes, I had an affair. And me being the truthful person that I am, I remember on Mother's Day, I told him, it was right after church. One day on a Mother's Day, I said, we need to talk. I need to tell you something. And I told him what was going on. Because again, for years I said, look, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Hello. Like warning, because I'm very truthful. And this was, oh my God, this is like 10 years ago. I know how to communicate my wants and desires. And I communicated those. I was very sexually frustrated during that time. I mean, very irritable. I was not as patient with my kids. Work was stressed. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. So after I told him that I had an affair with my ex, and I told him who, surprisingly, he apologized to me. And he says, he apologized because he knows that he hasn't been there for me. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And, he decided that he wanted to still keep the marriage. So I said, okay, if that's what you want to do, we can try to work it out. So in my mind, we were trying to work things out. And in spite of the horror stories, that's just some of the horror stories that I can remember off the top of my head. There's plenty. I still was willing to stick it out because, again, it was my second marriage and I was deeply in my Christian faith. And I felt like I didn't want my a second divorce to be public scrutiny in the church. Because people they look at you and they think that they know you. They have you pegged. But I went through a lot. I was not supposed to marry that man. And there were red flags from the beginning. But I ignored them. So it's my fault. I'm not upset with God at all. God did not tell me to marry that man. I should not have married him. But I did it anyway. And that's my fault. But I suffered. Time served with that one. So at that point, we decided to work on it. And, Dr. Umar was right. A woman will tell you if she loves you, if she's open, she's honest, she's going to tell you. We're not going to keep that. And one of my cousins was like, girl, I would have took that to my grave. And I'm just like, I'm not a liar. I don't feel like got to remember what I said and this and cover it up and all. I ain't got time for that. I'm grown. Look, not to say that, look, dude, this was your fault. But look, I mean, it happened. I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to cheat on my husband. It just happened. Not proud of it, but there were surrounding circumstances. And that's why it's very important for men, not even just men. Let me take that back. It is important for people to adhere to the request of their significant other, because a lot of men go through this with women. Oh, not tonight. I don't feel like it. I'm bloated. I don't feel like it. Da, da, da. Well, you keep saying not tonight and he going to be at somebody else's house. Okay. I've never denied my husband's access to me. Never, not once. I've never said no. Because what does the Bible say about that in Corinthians? Your body does not belong to you when you're married. And I wouldn't want my husband to seek someone else for things that I am supposed to provide for him. I don't believe that a man should have to go outside of his wife to have his needs met in any circumstances, whether cooking, cleaning, sexually, emotional support, physical support, whatever. I'm your one-stop shop. But we tried to keep the marriage, but part two to this story is which I don't even know if I disclosed in the Couch Confessions, but I probably did. Part 2 of this is after we decided to keep the marriage or try, he had got locked up again. No, what happened? Jesus, it's so many years ago. We were going to keep the marriage, but I remember I said, God, I can't take this anymore. Like, it was just too much. And God said, you know, he released me from that marriage. So I told the guy it was over. And he wound up leaving. And I didn't really have full proof, but I'm like, something's not right that we're not being intimate. Even after we decided to reconcile, it was more of the same. I was with this man for 6 years. Some other stuff happened and I said, this is it. It's over. I'm done. He got angry. You know, it was a mess. He wound up leaving. Now, his job calls me about 2 weeks later. Oh, you're such and such as emergency contact. He hasn't shown up to work. I said, okay, well, we're separated. He don't live here, so I don't know. And the lady was like, Miss Cliche, I need to talk to you. There's something I've been wanting to tell you. I'm like, hey, what's up? Well, he's been sleeping with such and such here, and they have been sleeping in the workplace rooms and getting written up, and you know, the girl got fired or something. There's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. I'm like, that makes sense. And this was someone who he had went to school with years before to work at this job, for this job. I said, there it is. He was having an affair most of that time with a woman that he was working with. So that was more likely the reason why, you know, we weren't getting it in. But, you know, and that was definitely the nail in the coffin. I mean, it was already, but moral of the story, listen to your spouse. Ain't that right, Billy? Yeah, they need to listen. It's competition. It's stuff everywhere. If you love that person, if you love them, you better listen. Because I after that happened, you know, well, I've heard, you know, oh, a person never loved you if they cheated. I don't totally agree with that. I don't totally agree with that. I don't want to say that he pushed me while I was home with his kids, taking care of the household, and he would be gone from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, going away, taking trips. Yeah. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, I was born for transparency. It is what it is. This is my life. This is my story. And I'm going to tell it. You know, this is what I went through. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My birthday's coming up. I need 500 subscribers. So if you have been here for a while and you've been dating me and you've been courting, come on in, hit that subscribe button. And you know what? I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.